We live in a country that is itself tyranny. Not an okay place to be. I had a wallet. Ah, good, I did find it. Been looking for it for a while. Now, I see these cops dying, which is a good thing. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. It's unfortunate. I'd rather they were able to go home to their families, but they're supporting tyrants. They're supporting tyranny. They're supporting child molestation. No, I can't be on their side. When you try to tell on a police officer, it magically makes it okay for all police officers to harm you, doesn't it? See, that's one of the ways they're able to use them dirty tricks to prevent you from turning them in. False charges. A broke person, yeah, you can't do shit but just fucking take it. And then people want to tell you about how you have the same rights as they do. No, you fucking don't. If you don't have the money, you don't have the rights. People can say and do whatever they want, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it because you don't matter. You're not considered a human being by the American people. Homeless people are number one on that list. Disabled are only number one on some of the lists, only because they do have more numbers. There are more disabled people than homeless people. But statistically, here in America, you're going to get murdered by police. You're a lot more likely to be killed by police as a homeless person than as a disabled person. And if you're homeless, they're just going to pretend that you're disabled anyway, but they're not going to say disabled, they're going to say mentally ill. That way they can associate you with school shootings and the Unabomber and nasty fuckers like Jeffrey Dahmer. That's why they use the term mentally ill. The mentally ill term is a label. A label that is used to deprive American citizens of their rights. To deprive American citizens of the right to turn in their predators, of the right to face their accusers, of the right to show evidence. That label also makes us easy to victimize. People don't want us to have guns to defend ourselves, but they do want to have guns that they can shoot us with. They want to have the right to shoot a homeless person who's walking down the street, but they don't want that homeless person to have the right to shoot back. There's a reason police go after black people and homeless people. You also notice that it depends on the black person. If you're Will Smith, you're rich. Nobody gives a fuck. If you're O.J. Simpson, you're rich. You get special treatment. If you're Jada Pinkett Smith, you get to play sympathy for something that was so fucking pathetic. Pathetic. It's about money. Those punk ass bitch motherfucking asswipes who want to pretend that the 5% that might be racism but is probably still victimization based on poverty, that 5% out of the 100% of abuse by law enforcement towards the American public, maybe 5% of it is over race. Now, when we get to the courts, that's where a lot of people want to start having the fight there and blame cops for stuff that cops didn't do. See, the cops are responsible for their own corruption. They're not responsible for corrupt judges. They're not responsible for lazy public pretenders. They're not responsible for public pretenders and fake-ass prosecutors trading cases like fucking baseball cards. Who's supposed to investigate that? When you're called mentally ill? Nobody. It's nobody's job to investigate that. It's your job to take it. As far as the body count goes, yeah, killing the cops could possibly put an end to this, but you're never going to have a body count big enough. That's the problem with, out of the 3 ways to fight a war, first one is killing people. The second one is changing their way of thinking. The third one is to build things, make their lives better. All 3 of those really do require working together. Well, not so much. It doesn't require so much working together to go slaughter people, does it? One person with a gun, one person with a torch, one person with a knife, one person with a bomb can create a lot of fucking carnage. You guys promote violence against the homeless. You make every excuse like we wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it. You blame us all for asswipes like, the meth heads under the bridge down there. Oh, we must all be like that. That's completely fucked up in the head. For me, my predators get heard, and I don't. Candace Bondurant became a predator when she did everything that she could to cut me off from resources, to deprive me of resources, and to outright misrepresent the situation because she wanted to save face. She didn't give a fuck about anyone but herself in that moment. But it's fine because you call me mentally ill and it makes it okay. Oh, she offered to help, sure. But how did she help? Why did she do the horrible shit that she did afterwards? Fuck all of you. And I do mean that. Those of you idiots who think that killing people is going to fucking fix something. Oh, it can. But you ain't going to work together well enough to do that, just like you ain't going to work together well enough to fucking build something to make your lives better. Shit, the homeless people in this goddamn town, if they would stop using fucking meth and work together, they could build themselves a place. They absolutely could. And everybody around here in these rich motherfucking houses would complain. But if those homeless people aren't pussies, and they're willing to give up their lives for something like that, well, they might be willing to keep it. Might be capable of keeping it. We can't just march off into the fucking sea, assholes. And you get to hear how, even though they said it nicely, I was still intimidated by Megan Misigatis and Marcia Estrada into moving repeatedly. They're not helping me to move. They're not helping me to set the things up to move. Instead, they're going out of their way to grossly reinterpret everything I say so that they don't have to do nothing. Oh, Sean, you said, no. If you're going to tell me what I said, first of all, we need context, and second of all, I have it recorded, so don't bullshit me, bitch. Body count. Now, I could easily go and kill a lot of people. I have the knowledge. I know how to make explosives. I know where to find the materials for the explosives. If I'm too broke for the money to go fucking buy the things that I need for the explosives, I know where to go harvest it. I mean, hell, there's 4 pools within 2 miles of here. I got DOT3 fluid in my fucking vehicle. DOT3 fluid is for the brakes. It's brake fluid. So yeah, it'd be pretty fucking simple to make explosives. It's a matter of morality. Most of these folks out here on the streets ain't got no morality. It's gone. You've shown them that there is no reason for them to have any morality because you have none. None whatsoever. You force them to do desperate things because you don't fucking care. As long as it's not happening to you, it must be okay. Or it must be all in their heads. Or they must be schizophrenic or delusional. Well, we got a lot of schizophrenic and delusional people out here. And guess what? Unlike black people, these folks ain't allowed to defend themselves. Not even with firearms. You wouldn't say black people aren't allowed to either? Black people are. Being black does not prevent you from having a firearm. Being homeless very much does. If you're homeless and you have a firearm, you can't legally possess that firearm because you don't have an address. Did you know that? Did you know there are over 200 people in prison currently, right now, in the state of Colorado because they owned firearms when they ended up homeless? They didn't even possess the firearms when they ended up homeless. Over 200 people sitting in the prisons in the state of Colorado right now. Legal gun owners. But because they didn't have an address, those guns became illegal. Didn't matter where they took them or where they put them. There's a lot of criminals in Colorado where the cops won't arrest them to begin with. They'll force them into homelessness and then arrest them and then say, oh, it was a homeless person. It was a homeless person. No, it was a fucking bricklayer from Longmont who molested his kids. Not a homeless man from Boulder. That dude, that bricklayer from Longmont who molested his fucking kids, he was homeless for less than 2 weeks. But what did they say about him? A homeless man from Boulder. Just like they tried to peg me as a homeless man from Boulder. Just like these people who promised they was going to help me. They didn't listen to a goddamn thing I had to say. They want to be angry at me. Oh, well, he's some fucking creeper from Boulder Dash, Colorado. He lives in Boulder Dash, Colorado. Like, no, I don't live in Boulder Dash, Colorado. There's no such thing so far as I'm aware. That was one of the ladies who I got rid of yesterday or the day before, I believe. Now let's look at all these people who did this horrible shit. Would killing them do any good? No. Would killing the cops do any good? That depends on the body count. Entirely. Now if BLM and MMIW got together and decided to have a wholesale slaughter of police officers, let's say they could get organized well enough to kill, let's say, 2,000 police officers in a single day. That would definitely be enough to make a difference. But if you're able to coordinate that many people to go kill 2,000 police officers, then you can organize that many people to actually turn these fuckers in and change the goddamn laws. So that's my problem with almost everybody who promised that they was going to help me. They promised they would help me how I need. And then all they wanted to do was talk about violence and killing and violence and killing and violence and killing. Of course, if I do that, I'm a horrible person, huh? If I talk about how wrong it is for these people to continually push the violence and killing on me, then magically that means I'm threatening people's lives. No. And that's the thing that those, crooks in the government get away with. Scott DaCosta, he's friends with Leslie Snell. He fucking hired her. She works for him. The issues that I have had with Leslie Snell have existed since the very first day that I spoke to her after finding out that she was working for the Dual County Sheriff's Department. called her up and tried explaining to her that I was sent there by Nebraska State Patrol. They told me that I needed to call Scott DaCosta to turn in Scott DaCosta. That is the very first phone call, the very first conversation between myself and Leslie Snell in years. Before that, I never had an issue with her, ever. There was one time I had an issue with her twin sister, Lynn. And of course, I bitched at Leslie for it. And Leslie had real short hair at the time. She said, Leslie has less hair. After that, I remembered. All right, Leslie has less hair. Leslie also has a wart on the side of her nose. So they're easy to tell apart up close. She's got warts. Now again, this body count thing. If Sarah Bacon had been busy trying to help turn this in instead of talking about killing people, make a lot of difference, wouldn't it? That seemed to be everybody's solution. Violence and more fucking violence. You know, I finally threatened people back, and it took a long fucking time. You know who I threatened back? The people who I was trying to fucking turn in. The predators that I'm still trying to turn in. Natalie and Alicia Bollinger and their friends, Maddie Boa and her friends. The fact that I've never been allowed to take part in your mainstream society. The fact that I am cast out from your society because I am different. The fact that the only people that even pretend to accept me in this world are drug addicts and drug dealers and alcoholics is fucking pathetic. I'll trust a meth addict before I'll ever trust a cop. Ever. Laura, yeah, she's a meth addict. But she admitted it. She didn't do any good, but neither did the cops. Difference is, she didn't pretend. Now that she's angry, we get to have all sorts of fun with it, don't we? Of course we do. I tried to get my computer working so that I could get some stuff put up before going to the Dalles. I don't think that I should waste my gas to go to the Dalles for a fucking maybe. I got too much stuff piling up. By denying me assistance and taking care of myself and taking care of the things that need to get done in order for me to keep my disabilities, these guys are taking advantage of my disabilities and have been for 6 years. Well, longer than 6 years, but here in Hood River, it's only been, 6 months? 6 months of abuse, 6 months of bullshit. Yeah, that's right. At-risk children become adults someday. Their disabilities don't fucking disappear, and neither do the bullies. When a bully turns 18, they don't magically stop being a fucking bully. That ain't how it works. Kind of like just because somebody hits 35 years of age and has a high IQ doesn't mean they automatically get a neurosurgeon license. It doesn't mean that magically now they're a nuclear physicist. My predators are able to work together. Why couldn't any of the people who claimed that they were my friends, claimed that they were trying to help me, why couldn't they work together? Why were they busy at each other's throats instead of helping? I get it. You know, just like with Miss Peaches and Blaine McCrelius. Yeah, Miss Peaches was pissed off that she was on my YouTube channel, but she had every opportunity to come forward. That's not what pissed her off the most, though. Her drug dealer, Blaine McCrelius, well, one of her drug dealers, he's primarily a meth dealer. And I didn't think she messed around with that. I knew that she sold it. I didn't think she smoked it. I'm still pretty sure she doesn't smoke it. However, just because I've never seen her smoke it doesn't mean she don't. If you guys can get organized well enough to kill 2,000 police officers in a single day, well, if that's the only way to do it, that's the only way to do it. But I say there's another way. I'd say you stop being selfish fucking pricks, work together and build something for yourselves. Fuck the government.